Honestly, I have, as a person, been shocked in a number of ways about how things have gone in Rivers State as an example of activities in Nigeria. There are things that the law forbids, but in the last 1 year or thereabout, we have seen those things which the law forbids discussed in public space as things that must be. I have had things like agreement, disagreement, and so whether the Constitution likes it or not, we stand on agreement. You don't have a sovereign state until a Constitution constitutes you into a sovereign state. You may be a nation, just like we have nationalities. Unless you are sovereign, you remain nationalities. It is that first constitution you make that, the word constitution has 2 meanings. It represents something we know, a book. But most importantly, it's also a verb. It's a creative force that creates you, converts you from a non-sovereign entity into a sovereign entity. So it stands as judge against all public officers and individuals in that society. Now, specifically to what you asked, a legislator has 2 duties. The first duty is to his constituency. He is elected as ear and eye and mouth of his constituency in government. And if you have to know, when we shout democracy, 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 where democracy really appears, it's in the House. Because that is the only place where the people can inform government policy. We probably look at it as a foreign thing, part of our colonial heritage. But that is not what it is. Each and every one of us can cause a bill to be passed. You can move up to your representative, draw his attention to something critical that needs to be addressed by policy. And because he brings attention to it, he will come up with a bill. If that bill succeeds, you get back to that bill. You are the originator of that bill. So the government is called democracy because the assembly provides for us opportunity to really govern ourselves. So while your first responsibility as a legislator is to your constituency, the second one is to the state. You are present there because your people need to make government understand what about policies that are hurting them, that need to be addressed. You have to speak for them. What about policies that will make life better for them? You need to speak for them. But beyond that, you must work with your colleagues to promote the interest of the state. Now, our experience in the last 1 year has thrown up a whole lot of confusing things. And perhaps it's good for us because somehow we are getting to understand the Constitution we have been keeping aside as a book. We are getting forced to understand it now. Participation in politics and in governance is your right. And so when you get elected to the House, you are given opportunity to exercise that right as an official of government. And when you are given that opportunity, you still have opportunity to even change camp if you want. And that's what you must understand the language of Section 109 of the Constitution. It doesn't say we are free to. It condemns changing of political party by a legislator because parties own the seats in the assembly. And so if you leave your party, you have left your seat. And that's what Section 109 says. It, however, creates a exception because it can have some peculiar situations. It says where the party has crisis. The courts have helped us to say that crisis means your party is divided from up down and can no longer function as the party it was when it sponsored you. A good example will be the formation of new PDP, which had its own board of trustees, its own end of this year, and the rest of them, from which people moved, a number of governors moved into a new party that later formed. So when a section of a party, a faction of a party joins a new party, that's okay. The Constitution says that's an exception. So if you have to have crisis, it should be crisis of that character. Besides that, you have some peculiar situations where you are a willing member of your party, but your party expels you, the Constitution permits you to remain because you did not take steps to leave your party removed you. So you can exercise your freedom of association by lapping onto another party or joining another party and you retain your seat. But our experience exposed three critical things. There have been three critical questions that have been raised. I know the Supreme Court will eventually decide, but as citizens we are entitled to discuss and understand our law and our constitution. And so those critical questions are, what if the defectors are so many that the House can no longer reach the podium? Can the House still go on? And I say the answer is yes. Section 102 of the Constitution says that the House shall sit notwithstanding any vacancy. The use of any by the Constitution means any number. It also means any quality of person. So whether Speaker vacates, Deputy Speaker vacates, or all officers vacate, the House, once convened, will continue to function. The only thing they can do is what the law requires that it should do by two-thirds majority, if the number left is not up to two-thirds. But the House can perform its full function until the House gets fully regulated. Then the issue of whether Speaker was present or Speaker was not present, the law says a member vacates his seat if he does this. So you vacate. You are no longer part of what has to happen. Subsection 2 says the remaining members will meet, take cognizance of that fact, and do what is needful, which is calling for by-election. On whether Speaker must be present before it divided, Section 95 defines Speaker. Speaker is not a person, it's a role. It says when the House sits, it shall be presided over by the Speaker, or in his absence, the Deputy Speaker. In the absence of the two of them, subsection 2 of that section says such other person, such other member as the members present elect to preside as Speaker for that. So that Speaker is important. So the Speaker who has left does not have to be present. These are the issues that in the last 1 year we have seen, and they have been defended strongly and discussed in public space. To my shame, because they have changed the Constitution for this. So I do hope, as we move on, legislators will get to understand that their loyalty is to their constituency and to the state, and not to an individual. Of that sake will not be a defense. Okay, thank you.